Welcome to the Fresh and Fired Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Marshall, here to help you function at your best in health, fitness, and life. Joined by my co-host, Haley Pindle. Let's get fired up.
Let's get fired up. I'm super ready. Super duper ready.
Oh my. Okay, so on our last episode, which is great, if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to it. We had a special guest on, Dr. Suzanne Bober, and she has her book, Burnout Rewired. It was a really good episode, right?
I freaking loved it.
Yes.
I was in the I loved it. So definitely go back and watch it.
Yeah, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to all of those and share the shows, right, Haley?
Yes. Share, increase our chances of being exposed. It's free. It's free. Just do it.
It's free. Yeah. What was not free, I'm assuming, was Haley's trip to Mexico, but I want to hear it all about it.
It wasn't free.
It wasn't
But
free.
yeah, no, it wasn't free, but it was amazing. We went to Puerto Vallarta, and it was interesting because this is when all of that stuff started happening on the news. You see like cars on fire, all of this other stuff going on. And so like 2 weeks before we left, we're like, do we go? Do we not do it? Like, we already paid for this. We're not getting our money back. Because WestJet was already like, they were still running the planes. They only closed that down for like a couple days. So everything was running. So we're like, you know what? Let's just go, whatever.
Just take our chances.
Yeah, we'll just live in life on the wild side was the motto of the trip. But we got there and there was really nothing, like everything was fine. Everything was regular. We were like going through downtown Puerto Vallarta and like a bunch of tourists, a bunch of like people who, have like timeshares down there. There's a lot of like American or Canadian people downtown because they have like apartments there and they go there for the winter, et cetera, et cetera. So everything was fine. However, our hotel was about 50% capacity because everyone had canceled because of all this stuff. So there was no real weddings. Like, I think we only saw one wedding the first night we were there, and then all the others they had canceled. So there's only about 50% of the people who should have been there.
Wow.
Which was kind of bittersweet because they had obviously amended the resort to be functioning at 50% capacity so that not all of the restaurants were open and et cetera and things like that. However, it was really nice because it wasn't a lot of people. We did karaoke. That was my favorite part. That was my favorite part. I love karaoke, something about me. I will do it sober. I don't care. I don't have to be on an influence. I will do karaoke anytime, anywhere, any day. My cousin and
I Are you going to do some right now on the podcast?
My cousin and I did Complicated. I have a video of it. Maybe I'll post it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. You got to follow me to find out.
Where will you post it on YouTube?
Post it now. Probably post it on Instagram because it was a little that my mom and my aunt did karaoke too. It was freaking hilarious. It was so much fun. But other than that, we just kind of relaxed. I read my book. I got really sunburnt. So last time I went to Mexico, I didn't even tan. This time I got sunburnt and then it turned into a tan. So I think that's a win.
Yeah. You've got a nice glow about you.
Yeah, I always do. Other than that, it was super relaxing, and I'm sad to be back in the cold weather. But it's not super cold. It's getting better. I miss the snow.
How cold? Haley, how cold? I want to know. This is a competition.
Okay, you win. It's like 3 degrees or something.
It was minus 40. No, sorry, minus 25 when I got up to go to the gym this morning.
Why do you live there?
I don't know, man. Girl, I mean.
I don't know. Like, I'm sure you get resourceful and like you prepare for it. How long does it take you to get your like stuff on so your face doesn't burn off?
No, you get used to it. Like, there's times I go out minus 25, like not even wearing mitts. I'm just like,
really?
Literally just get used to it. Yeah, cold adapted. It's amazing how our bodies adapt to our environments.
True.
Isn't that amazing?
I'll adapt to the beach.
I know you will. Okay, so here's my question for you. When you were on your trip, did you train at all? Or were you full relaxation mode?
I did train.
What did that look like for
train
you?
on vacation, mostly because I wake up earlier than everyone and I'm like, what do I do?
You're so used to it.
Yeah, so I did train during the week, but one thing about like on vacation, it's sort of like deload. I just go there for funsies.
That's fun.
because like there's not a lot of equipment. There's like one elliptical and then some weights and then, like a box, maybe a cable if you're lucky. So I just kind of like fool around in there for like 45 minutes and then I go back and everyone's ready for breakfast. I'm like, let's go.
That's like fun. That allows you to be creative with your movement though. I like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like I said, it's more for the fun part of it of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do right now and I can't stay here because my mother's sleeping.
That's great. You're so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you can filter in that fun and love for your activity and your movement, but then also your body's so used to getting up at a certain time. It says a lot about your consistency because we talk about that, right? Motivation, discipline, consistency. And I think so much of it comes down to consistency, but people often want to focus on the results.
Mhm.
And it's not always about the results. It's about enjoying the process as much as people don't always want to hear that. It's like, why am I not seeing results? So, why do so many women train hard but never see results?
I think it's because the mindset, honestly. I think that's the biggest part because you're going to make yourself quit before the time comes where you see the fruits of your labor. And I see this so much, especially with my clients in like a fat loss phase post period recovery, because we do it so freaking slowly. The slow way is the fast way, by the way, everybody. Where they're like, Haley, like, oh my gosh, I just want to get back to feeling good, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's nothing stopping you right now. Like, why can't you feel good? You can for sure feel good right now. But like, kind of detaching yourself from that outcome or that result driven goal. We talk about process goals a lot. If you have a result driven goal, you being so far away from that goal, and it's okay if your goals are far away, like that doesn't mean you should pick a different goal or like blah blah blah, but kind of like embedding yourself in the process and becoming someone who gets up and goes to the gym. They choose protein, they focus on protein first on their plate, like being someone who defaults to that, and therefore you become a person who will get those results later on without you having to hyperfixate. A lot of people feel like they have to hyperfixate on a goal to get it, when like there's no correlation between how much you want it and getting it. So just kind of relaxing into the process would also make it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I think a few episodes ago, we talked about that expectation versus reality gap, of like you're expecting yourself to change week to week. I see this a lot of like fat loss too. Of like, I'm now in a deficit. And so now I should see progress week to week, which that is so not realistic, especially for females going through your cycle and water retention and all this stuff. So like have a realistic expectation of like, okay, I do not expect myself to lose 10 pounds in a month, even though Susie down the street did keto and did it, because that's not a route or rate of change in terms of body weight, but falling in love with the process.
Yeah, that's good. The other part I was thinking of is if you're just doing random workouts versus progressive structured programming. I think a lack of progressive overload, let's say you're going in, you're doing the same weights, the same reps, the same effort week to week, and you're not training enough to true muscular fatigue. And what we're not saying is overloading your nervous system because you don't want to be in a chronic stress, poor recovery state either, because then your body's also not adapting. But I think people can take it to extreme on one end or the other, and then they find themselves more in a plateau state. The other one is too much cardio, but I don't want to say never do cardio. Like it is, I feel really refreshed when I do a cardio day and I throw one in there, but it's not like I'm only doing cardio. And it's how fatigued you're getting during your cardio. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour run. Just even doing, I did interval training the other day. It was a minute, like a minute harder, a minute lighter, back and forth between treadmill and the spin bike. And I did that for half an hour and it felt really good. It was refreshing. I did a bunch of stretching after. My muscles were warm. I was getting a good sweat on, but I didn't feel like my nervous system was overload, like I shared on last week's episode, because I'm still very much in a recovery phase to not push too hard. But I still am like, I'm getting my heart rate up and it feels good. It's enjoyable and it's not fatiguing my nervous system too much. So I think definitely cycling through those and not having it, yeah, not having it so rigid in your mind that like you have to be just this one thing or only one way or the other. I feel like that can create overall consistency, like we just talked about for you on your trip, to be able to keep going, but not be like, "Oh, I can't do it exactly the way I do it, exactly in my structured program." So it's kind of this weird meld between having a structured program, but if you're going on a vacation or making sure you have those deload weeks in, they're going to look different, and being okay with that and working that in rather than having no clear goals, no clear programming. It's totally random. It's all over the place. You're not going to see that rate of change that you're hoping for. That's
Yeah,
what I
I
think.
agree. I totally agree with that. And you bring up a good point just to kind of like dissect one part of what you said is like not having structure. And I think that people can go into like a hamster wheel of doing the same thing over and over again, and not seeing results. So I do want to bring up like if you aren't seeing progress in the direction that you want to see progress, then something needs to change. So if you're just continuously, doing Pilates and lifting like 5 pound weights and expecting your muscles to grow, and then you're going like you're a month into it and you're like, well, nothing's happening. Well, because you're not doing the right thing. So I think it's a kind of a combination of allowing that time but also being very realistic with like, did I do the correct or on the right path things during that time to warrant the results that I want?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. The other one is not under eating
Hmm.
protein and calories because then you have no building blocks for change.
Yep.
How are
You
we going to
cannot.
build our little Lego house if we don't have any Lego pieces?
There's no fuel. There's no fuel in the car. You can't drive the car. It's a beautiful car. You got a Porsche. It's awesome. I freaking love it. But
It's
there's
true.
no gas.
I 100% agree. Let's talk periodization then, because I think this is when we're throwing that out here. Have structured programming, have a plan, have some progressive overload. What does smart periodization actually look like? And when should you switch phases?
Are you going to answer this one?
Yeah, I am.
You've got your notes up. I'm like, you don't throw me under the bus.
Listen, I don't know. I got to keep tight questions so that there's actually usable content here. Like, let's hear your tight question. Come on.
I didn't
Why don't
even
you
know what we were
re-ask the
talking
same
about before I
question to
came
me?
here. I didn't even know we were going to talk about before I came on. And then you're like, all right, let's go. And then I started talking about Mexico. And then we started talking about this.
Well,
I'm
you
like, I
know
don't
we're
know what's
talking muscle gains. Muscle gains, muscle gains, muscle gains.
for the algorithm. Okay, let's hear it.
True. It's true. But seriously, thinking about it, it's like, okay, let's talk periodization because we talk about different phases and what are going to be the best phases for you as a female athlete, even if you don't consider yourself an athlete. If you're in the gym training, you are, and you need to treat yourself like that with recovery and care and all of those things. Very simple framework because, Haley, you brought up a good point when you were speaking earlier, which was depending on what your goals are and which direction you're going, that this could vary. So I'm just giving you kind of like blanket statement idea here. We talk a lot about hypertrophy phase. There's so many more episodes on that. So go back and look through because we do get into some really good nitty gritty details. But hypertrophy phase, you're looking at 8 to 12 reps building muscle. I don't think we've said much on other episodes is some of the benefit for women would be doing a longer hypertrophy phase. So 6 to 12 weeks is good. Now you can then switch to a strength phase. Strength phase, you're looking more between 3 to 6 reps, and that's going to build force. And then I talk in other episodes about how I like to throw in power phases because I was a power athlete. So that's more, you really don't have to do that. I do it because I like it. And it's something I've always done. So I'm kind of like, ooh, I like this. But I don't stay in power phase all the time because my nervous system gets way too fatigued. And if I try to do it too often or for too long, I end up injured, which is where I'm at right now. Learn lessons hard. So mostly you can just do the hypertrophy phase and then strength phase. With strength phase, when you're building that force, you really only want to do that for 3 to 6 weeks. So you're in that for a lot less time. And quite frankly, I only do it 3 weeks at a time when I'm actually like following the structure.
Yeah, I was going to
Unless
say
I'm
like,
in rebellion phase or I'm like mad and I'm just taking out all my energy and then I end up hurting myself. Anyways, then you want to do your deload and recovery. You're going to reduce volume and intensity. This is very, very important. Guys, if you train hard, the harder you train, the harder you have to recover. If you take anything
it's
away,
true.
that is it.
That's true. Same thing goes for like your hit when you were mentioning that. Like that takes a lot more out of your body. And so what I see a lot of too for women, like they're doing hit like every day. And like if you're doing it to the extent that you should be doing it, you should not like even have the like capacity to do it every day, maybe like once or twice a week, because that's going to require your body to recover from it a lot longer than like say you get 10 10K steps a day. Like the recovery rate of your step count, or like going on a leisurely walk or maybe a hike, obviously depending on your endurance kind of levels, is going to be a lot shorter for steps or something a little bit less intensity, rather than the hit where you're doing 1 minute on, 1 minute off, where you're going at max capacity. It takes a lot out of you. So you do need to allot for that recovery time.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I know I've trained alongside other people, and something that you really have to consider is, what does the rest of your day look like? How active is
Hmm.
your job? What are your requirements? Are you training super hard and then you're sitting at a desk all day? Do you have access to, the walking pads and the standing desks? And all of that plays a role on how you are processing or recovering in your own body. And your body's going to give you signs. So you got to pay attention to the signals. Some of the signs that you need to switch phases is going, okay, am I stalling? Your progressive weight stalls, and you really see where you're not able to improve those reps. We should be able to go up another 5 pounds. When you start feeling like, I can't, I've done like 3 weeks and I'm just at the same weight, or I need to back down the weight, then your body is not fully recovering. And that's why you're stuck there. The other part is the mental, emotional. Your motivation drops. You start getting bored with your exercises. You're not enjoying it anymore. This is going to lead to more excessive fatigue. When you start to feel overall body fatigue, you're going to get into that nagging aches and pains or old injuries resurfacing. That is your body telling you need to switch up the phase, or you need to take a hard look and ask yourself, have you actually done your deload week at all within these weeks? And have you had recovery days and recovery between your sets within your workouts? Like, I feel like we harp on this so much, but for some reason, it's just people don't care. They don't care about stretching. They don't care about the mobility work. They don't care about the recovery phase. It's what's going to take you to the next level. I don't know how many ways to say it.
Yeah, it's the like overachiever kind of thing of like, oh, if it's not like a working set, then it's like nothing. This is just a waste of time. So we feel like recovery is like a waste of time. Where that's where your muscles get built and your body feels good and not run down. And so you do need that rest, and you also need to fuel. So bringing back that fueling aspect of it, that's also part of your recovery, and like having some nutrients post workout to kind of fuel yourself throughout the day and bring down those cortisol levels that naturally spike after exercise, and obviously stabilize your blood sugar levels. But yeah, pair your recovery with eating enough too. And another thing in terms of like the nutrition aspect of it, a lot of women like on a rest day will like not eat as much because like, oh, I'm not moving. But this is such a disservice to your body. Because like we just said, you're recovering. And in that recovery phase, you also need fuel to fuel the recovery process. So even though you're not training super hard that day, do make sure that you're eating like a minimum amount, or like your floor amount at least.
Yes, 100% agree with that. There was something else I was thinking of as you were speaking. Another good analogy to think through is, even when we know this about brain health, when you study, if you were like studying a bunch for an exam, you do all the studying and it's like, great, I've got all this information in my brain. But people will make the mistake of staying up super late in the night because they're freaked out and their stress levels are high, and then they don't get a good night's sleep. They do not perform as well as someone who studies overtime earlier and then revisits their notes and stuff the night before, but gets an early night and a really good deep sleep, because your memory actually solidifies during your sleep when you get your REM phases and your deep wave sleep. And so think about what happens in your brain when you're learning information. This same thing happens for every part of your body. So all of your nerves, your muscle tissue, your joints, they all go into that deep phase recovery when you get a really good night's sleep. And so people, they're running on 4 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep, or they're high performing all the time, high intensity all the time. I can guarantee you there's a trade off happening somewhere in their body.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not saying anything, or they're just like power through it, blah,
Or
blah,
they're
blah.
hiding
But
it.
yeah, but you can only do that for so long. Like you can do it. Like no one's saying you can't, but there is going to be a price that you pay for it, especially like the long term thing. And then you go into the chronic stress that we just went over in the last episode. Then you
Exactly.
end up with the burnout symptoms, and mental and physical. So it shows up in both ways. So you don't want to get to that point, which is just to drive everything home here. Rest is so freaking important for you.
So you're saying you're not supposed to feel wrecked all the time? Wait, is that a red flag, Haley?
A red flag in me? Yeah. No.
No, not for you. Yes, it's all about you. Is it a red flag if you feel wrecked all the time while you're trying to
Yeah.
do these workouts? Yes.
Yeah, not
Why?
only, like, physically, but also mentally, because I think especially when you are, like, training super duper hard for an extended period of time, you get to that point where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't even wanna go to the gym." Like, it's such a place of anxiety, and I hate it. So you don't wanna also get to that point because it's supposed to be fun too, right? When it starts to lose its funness, which is also, kind of a red flag that you can see if you're approaching that point of, like, overtraining. A lot of my clients, again, coming from like period recovery and things like that, they go into like they're hit and they're just training like nonstop. And so some of them take like maybe they don't need a physical break, but mentally they need a break from like training in the gym because it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't go in there.
Yeah, it's become
Which
a
I
place
think is
of
also
stress.
equally as important to kind of recognize of like if you're losing the fun in it, kind of take a step back, maybe explore something else, do something a little bit more social even, and then bring it back when you're feeling a little bit more ready.
Yeah. So I'd love to do a little bit of contrast here then, because what we're not saying is that you should feel chronically sore. You're going to feel sore sometimes for sure,
Mhm.
but it shouldn't be all day, every day. Constant exhaustion. This is nervous system overload. What you should feel is you should feel challenged during your workouts. You should have enjoyment in it, which you already touched on, Haley. And then you should have enough recovery that you can feel well rested to train again within 24 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
And we've all done those workouts where definitely that 48 to 72 hours range, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't walk up the stairs. I can't sit on the toilet. That is going to happen sometimes when you're doing a big shift, but it shouldn't be happening all the time. That's the big distinction. And so there are signs. Again, your body will give you signs, but you need to pay attention to them. If you have poor sleep, if you start getting into that irritable mood swing category, you know what's happening then. It's starting to affect your hormones because your hormones are listening to what your brain is telling them because it's actually a nervous system thing. It starts there. And so that's then when you're going to start to see those plateaus and lack of ability to build your strength. And you're going to get into that persistent soreness and joint pain. Nobody wants that because then you got to go see the chiropractor, right, Haley?
Exactly, exactly,
Unless you
exactly.
like seeing your chiropractor.
I think it's fun,
It
actually.
is fun,
I think
especially
it's
at Valley
nice.
Chiropractic in Peace River, Alberta.
I agree. I have yet to visit that one. I need to visit it, but,
You should come. Yeah.
I should come, except you kinda drove me away with the -25, so
It's nice in the summer. Come in the summer.
I
And
will
we
have
can
to come.
mastermind all of our,
All of
episodes.
our podcast episodes.
Yes.
Muscle gain, muscle gain, muscle gain.
Yes, we
Yeah,
want to build each other up just like we're building up our muscles. We're not breaking them down. Well, we are gonna break them down, then we're gonna let them recover so they can actually build, and we're gonna be happy about it. It's great.
exactly. That's how this whole process kinda goes.
It does.
And I do wanna bring up too, like, this is a long process. So I'm gonna piggyback way beyond okay, so when you brought up results driven at
Yes.
the start of this,
Okay.
this is such a freaking long process of building and breaking. So you can't essentially have like this process on like Amazon Prime or delivered yesterday. Like this is not going to happen. So again, having like a process goal of rooting yourself, okay, I'm going to get to the gym 3 days this week and I'm going to increase my weight by like 2 pounds. That's going to be a process goal that you have so you can kind of like find those little successors because it doesn't matter if you're like hyper fixated on like getting or building muscle. That is inevitably going to happen if you complete that process goal for the week and sort of building on that. So I had another client too where I think this is really important to touch on too of like the confidence that you also build in the gym because I think it's so much more than just aesthetic. She just got into weightlifting and she's like, yeah, I feel so much more confident and strong and it's like the best thing ever. And I think that's also such an amazing aspect of it, which is why I fell in love with it. It's because you just feel so much stronger and you're like, yeah, I'm freaking capable. And that's so amazing. So again, like seeing the differences or different things that it can give you other than just the aesthetics, I think is going to be good for the longevity of you reaching that said goal.
So then what happens if you get injured? If you get injured, should you stop training or adjust your program?
Depends on the injury. Mostly, I would say adjust, but if it's obviously a pretty bad injury, like need surgery or something, then like We need some recovery time. But yeah, I think it depends on the injury and like what you can do because I think that there's a lot of good things that you can do to kind of like get blood circulation there and things like that can actually speed up the recovery process. But then there's going to be some where complete rest is obviously warranted.
Yeah, it's like it's a post-surgical regime is gonna look different the same way if you're pregnant, you
Mhm.
had a vaginal delivery compared to if you had a C-section, that recovery is gonna look different, right? So let's talk injuries that didn't require surgery. This any type of injury or most types of injury, rarely do you need to completely stop.
Mhm.
You do need to modify. So you're going to modify, not quit. And if you are modifying, it's going to be dependent on what the injury is. So if we're talking, okay, I have a lumbar disc bulge, right? You are going to modify, you are going to quit certain exercises completely. You are
Mhm.
not going to do deadlifts, for example. That doesn't mean you need to quit going to the gym. There are so many modifications that you can do instead. So I can give you the example of what I'm doing right now because of the way that my neck injury is and the nerves that go down into my right arm has affected my grip strength. And anytime I have like anything pulling down on those brachial plexus nerves causes a re-aggravation. And if I have too much intra-abdominal pressure, it will actually re-light up the symptoms, but it'll also give me like headaches because it's very nerve centric. So what I've done, for example, is not doing deadlifts. I do hip thrusts and I do a lot of single leg work because I'm at the point where for me to do like body weight squats is not progressive in any way, right? Because
Mhm.
I was lifting so much previously. But if I'm really isolating a like a box step up single leg and I'm doing them slow and I'm changing my tempos, I can get a pretty good burn going through my quads where I know I'm like, oh, I'm working this. And if I combo them with other isolated exercises, like where you're, putting the band pulley around your ankle and you're doing extension kicks and that sort of thing, you do need to get creative. So I've had to get creative with I really can't do anything that I'm holding a lot of weight or anything where I'm like holding the bar, which is why I'm not doing pull ups. I'm really doing isolated scapular exercises and stuff like that. And so I have noticed huge amounts of change. And what it's doing is it's allowing me to see those smaller muscle groups that I haven't been isolating properly. And so even in all these little more micro structured exercises, I'm like, oh, wow, I feel like I have pretty good posture. And I'm like, I feel like my posture is actually changing through this process of rehabbing my neck and my scapular movements, which if you looked at me walking down the street, you wouldn't be like, she has poor posture. But I'm actually noticing change in my body. And I didn't think I would because it's like, oh, I'm not lifting super heavy.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's been a really good shift. And you're not going to be able to notice those changes until you do it. And if you're forced to do it, I could have just stopped training altogether. And I have had days where I've like cycled in more rest days and I'm starting to notice I am fatiguing quicker than I normally would. And so that's also a signal. But I think it's good. It's identifying the signals, modifying the exercises, not a full stop sign.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, like, your intentions have also changed, right, and shifted, to more, like, mobility and, like, what can I focus on? And I think we, especially as, like, higher achieving women, we need something to be like, "Okay, what is this purpose?" kind of thing. So, you're improving your posture, you're improving your mobility, you're improving a lot of other things outside of, like, if you just had, "Oh my gosh, I can no longer build muscle in this phase of life now. Goose darn it, like, quit. I quit." Which is obviously like there's so many different things that you can focus on, and that's just a great example of like one of the things that you're focusing on and can find success and like progression in that. And I think that's where the feeling of like, okay, I'm actually doing something that's of like use and value to my body is like just shifting that narrative of like, okay, my goals can shift. And you've said this so many times of like seasons of life, and being able to kind of transition through those seasons. And everyone does have a purpose. Just finding the intention of that season can be really valuable.
Yeah, being really intentional with also identifying what movements aggravate your
Mm,
condition, what movements are still pain free, and then also looking at if it's specific to my knee. My knee has been bothering me. Well, what can I do? Yeah, sure, I can do upper body workouts, but Also, if you're having knee issues, that's a sign that you need to improve your ankle mobility and you need to improve your hip mobility and you need to do core strengthening. So then you focus on those other areas, do more knee stabilization, more isolation exercises where you're really doing even static holds for things. That's huge. And then same thing with shoulder, right? Shoulder injuries are awful because our shoulders are built for mobility, not for strength and structure. And so they're very susceptible to injury. And I would take helping someone get better from back pain all day compared to a shoulder injury because they just are so finicky. And so it's that same thing. If you're doing very isolated movements, if you're on YouTube, you know, the ones where you like, you pull your
Cars,
arm up and then you turn your thumb back and then you turn your thumb,
shoulder
you
car.
do all these funky movements. It really
Yeah,
helps a lot.
I know. The shoulder car and the hip car, that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, they make a huge difference. Again, if you're stuck in that mindset of feeling like, this isn't really doing anything, it is if you're very intentional. With core exercises, it's like this too. I find that if people are not actually recruiting their core muscles, you could easily like, I'm going to do these sit-ups and I'm just going to like quickly bend through them. And you're like, you're
Mhm.
not actually doing it. You need to slow it down. You need to isolate. You need to be able to feel it, like
Yeah.
feel that your body is recruiting those muscles. And I think I brought it up before. You can do raking. I think it's called raking. Yeah. Where you actually like stimulate the muscle. You will see Olympians do this. They'll like do this to their thighs. They'll like
Mhm.
shake their thighs or like beat them, like that, because it's actually telling your nerves to recruit more fibers to those muscles and get them more going in fast twitch before they start training. You can do that. So you do like, hit yourself on the stomach a couple times. It's going to tell your brain to actually recruit your abdominal muscles.
Yeah, Tarzan it. Tarzan it out.
Tarzan it. Yeah. You beat your chest before you do. I know. Some of these things sound weird. You don't need to do them obnoxiously, but it will actually cue your brain to be like, I'm going to recruit these fibers next, right? So you're just laughing at me. Whatever, man.
No, actually, I that's interesting. I actually didn't know that. So next time I'm in the gym, I'm just gonna be beating myself down. They'll be
She's
like,
going to
"Haley, are
be
you
punching
okay?
herself in the
Are
glute.
you okay? Do we need to talk?" I'm like, "No, I'm just recruiting all of my muscles. Leave me alone."
Full recruitment. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. It's true though. Because otherwise, if you do absolutely nothing, again, unless it's like you're on full rest post-surgical, yes, okay, I get that. But if you do full rest and you don't actually need it, you're gonna decondition quicker than you're hoping,
Yeah.
even within a 2-week period. Not to create fear around that, and it doesn't even necessarily require a ton of movement just to maintain through a phase.
I think it's
It
only like
doesn't.
30 or 40% to
Yeah.
maintain the muscle mass.
Yeah. Motion is lotion, guys.
Yeah. So
Okay, so do you have any other suggestions on how we should rework a program around injury and still make progress?
I think that we nailed it. Just kind of making progress in different ways and just knowing that like your muscles aren't going to go away just because you're changing things. I think those are pretty freaking good.
Yep. Shift your focus from
Yeah.
limitation, opportunity to build in other areas and be intentional. I like that
Yeah.
you use that word, so I wanted to point it out. And when you are intentional, whether you're lifting with lighter loads, you switch the volume, maybe do fewer sets, work on the range of motion and mobility, the tempo, slower, more
Mhm.
control. I wanted to spit all these out for you so that you have ideas because if you're trapped in a phase, like you said, if you're trapped mentally, you've now hamstrung yourself.
Hamstrung hamburger.
Hamburgers. You don't want to have hamburger muscles. Oh my goodness. What are
Yeah, you do.
hamburger muscles?
Hamburger Meister.
Put in the unilateral work one side at a time. That's what I've been doing. It's working. I'm testing it for y'all. I'm doing the isometrics, also working.
I was like, "Whoa, where did Southern Emily come from?"
Stability and control.
It's
Like we
true.
already talked about scapular hips. Your
Yep.
hips aren't going to lie. All that stuff.
Hips don't lie, na 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 na. Gosh,
Right?
this is a banger
So
episode.
you can still have progressive load in a different way because it can
Mhm.
be smaller wins, but it's going to keep building your confidence. And as long as those movements are pain free for the injured area, that's okay then. Then you're good to go. And you can always be checking with a professional too, right? If you're seeing a physio or a chiropractor, that's a really good person to talk to about it. Or shoot us messages if you have something more specific and we'll shoot you a message back. Although
Yeah.
I'm not really good at checking on Spotify, so sorry if you're someone who's commenting on
Can
Spotify.
you message on Spotify?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that, and then I went on our account, and I was like, I missed messages. I didn't even know there
Gosh.
were.
Well, go on YouTube, guys.
Yeah,
Bring up the algorithm on YouTube. We
yeah,
don't answer
go on. If you're
Spotify's.
gonna message us, we're gonna be much better with, well, Haley on Instagram. Me, not as much lately. Maybe I'll get back on that someday, but not today.
I'll answer. I'll
I
pass
did
it
put
through.
I did put up our video.
Now that I'm on your emergency list, I can also message you when you're in no like airplane mode. So I can
That's true.
always contact you.
That's true. That's true. I know. I've been on a silent retreat, guys. But
I
here's
love
the
that.
deal. You can get a hold of us on YouTube and definitely you on Instagram. And then I did put up that video on Instagram yesterday, though.
Yeah,
You guys should check
exactly.
it out. It's
I
from
thought
our
that
last
was
episode. It
good.
was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
That was good teamwork. We should keep working as a team. I feel like we're a good team.
Yeah, I think we're really good at doing that. Honestly, just to kind of toot our own horns here. Like
Tooting our horns.
since we started, we really have not clashed much at all. Like we're very like, yeah, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna get this done. Blah blah blah, and everything kind of works as a really nice system. So I just have to hand it to us. We're great.
Well, and it hasn't felt like because one or the other will just do. Like when you were like,
Yeah.
okay, I shot you this video clip, you did some of the editing, you sent it back to me, I made a caption, I popped it up. Like when you split up the load like that, it actually is so manageable or more
Way
manageable.
better.
It's not like
Way
we're
better.
spitting out 3 reels a day for our podcast, though. Obviously, that would be more. We're
Yeah,
like,
just the
once in
good
a
ones.
while, we put one up.
Just the good ones. Just the good ones. Which they're all good.
I
So.
feel like we could probably do a few more, though, if we did it like that. We should maybe do that more. We'll see.
Yeah. Plus, it's already like AI stuff too.
Yeah.
So
Guys, the AI changes the game. Like it's such
It's
a weird world we live in. Oh my goodness, it's such a weird world.
I know.
Here's the
Anyways.
deal. Do we have anything great to end off on? Like, do we have some sort of mic drop?
I think our mic drop was just like we're the best, wasn't it?
Fitness isn't about perfection, Haley, and being the best and always having the best results. Come on. It's about being adaptable.
It's true.
Flexible.
It's about being flexible like a
love that.
worm. That's our spirit animal, a worm. That's the mic
learning
drop.
how to pivot though is hard, but it's what's required. It really
Mentally more hard than it is physically. So yeah.
Well, I think both. Mentally, emotionally, physically, all of it.
All of it. It's all hard.
Yes, but you can do hard things. We can do hard things. We're crushing it. We're going to crush this week. Haley, you rock. Have the best day ever. I just wanted to say it before you did.
I adore you so much. Have the best day of your entire life.
And in the
You're the
meantime,
best.
be free,
Feel fresh.
and live on fire.